Hello, my name is Marcia Segal, and I'm a processing archivist here at the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. I'm talking to you today about the care, handling, and storage of audiovisual materials. One thing to keep in mind when you're working with audiovisual materials, as with any archival items, you do want to work at a certain pace. Don't do anything in a rush. Don't act in a hurry, because you might bobble the materials. You could drop something very easily. So go forward in a smooth, easy, steady pace. When you're handling AV materials, don't let your hands touch the actual recording. It could be an audio disc, it could be an audio tape, it could be a wire recording. The oils on your hands could transfer to those media, and you don't want to let that happen because it could cause degradation in the long run. Also, keep in mind that any number of items, especially audio tapes, were created with a chemical process, and they have chemicals in them, and it's probably better that you not touch those surfaces anyhow. They're not dangerous, but they're not exactly something you want on your hands to begin with. When you're storing AV material, you want to store things in such a way that they are safe, that they won't topple over, that items of the same size are next to each other. But also you want to keep in mind the environment and where your building, where these items are stored, is located. Do you live in earthquake country? Do you live in Tornado Alley? Do you have yourself working in a building with these materials stored that is at the foot of a hill where water might drain down the hill? Does the roof leak? These are some things to keep in mind. So without any major expense, you can keep certain details in mind. Keep in mind, keep things off the floor. Keep things away from the ceiling. Keep things away from an inner or an outer wall. An inner wall is one that leads out into, say, a hallway, and an outer wall is one that has windows on it. You don't want anything stored in a window either. So keep in mind, audiovisual materials dislike extremes. They like continuity, they like stability. They want to have the same humidity, they want to have the same temperature range. Depending on where you store these materials, depending on whether or not staff are working in the same area, that will speak to what kind of temperature range you want these materials at. And again, something like the Goldilocks effect is in place here. Nothing too hot, nothing too cold, nothing too humid, nothing too dry. A good standard to work with is maybe 70 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe about 50% humidity. This is not a hard and fast rule, but it's good to keep track of. You'll want to have some sort of device in the room to measure the heat and the humidity to keep them, those materials at the same temperature and humidity level, because when there's heat and humidity fluctuations, you will have fluctuations in the physical form of those materials. Tapes, audio discs, all of these can be deformed with too much heat and too much humidity. So please keep that in mind when you're storing materials, and remember to have some sort of device in the room that can measure the heat and the humidity. Also, with the building, you can never tell just what could happen with the building. You know, the roof might be just fine, the ceiling might be just fine for now, but check the storage spaces on a regular basis. Check it on a daily basis if you can. Check it every few days if it must be every few days, but do check in on the space. Don't just turn out the lights and close the door. You have to check on the spaces to make sure the integrity of the building is sound, so that those materials continue to be safe.